should have told him. Persecuted by the anarchists, he had to hide during the Civil War and go into exile during the time of Franco because he refused to bless the regime. His attitude towards war and dictatorship forged his image as the cardinal of Venice. After his death in Switzerland, his remains were placed in the cathedral. We are now facing the main access to the urban area of the city. The first stretch of the Rambla is known as Rambla President Companys. Luis Companys was the president of the Catalan Parliament during the Second Republic and the Civil War, until his flight into exile and subsequent execution. Due to his tragic end, he became a political symbol. Very nearby, you can find shopping centres where you can walk, go shopping, eat, or even change money if necessary. If you would like to visit the shopping centre or stroll along the last stretch of the Rambla, get off at this stop. And if you would like to return to tarragona Touristic, see the timetable. Surrounded by an intersection of roads that connect the city to the nearest villages, Vilaseca, Salou or Rose. In this same square behind the hotel is the bus station, where you can catch a bus to the airport or to the Ave railway station. The most emblematic avenue in the city also starts here, La Rambla Nova, which takes us to the esplanade overlooking the Mediterranean. To stroll along the Rambla, the entrance to the urban area, or to reach the bus station, you can get off at this stop. To continue your visit with the tarragona Touristic, don't forget to check the timetable in our brochure. this part of the route, you come across the commemorative bronze figures of Els Castellers. This sculpture represents one of the famous human castles, which form an integral part of Tarragon folklore, and which can now be seen throughout. Tarragona has a strong tradition of building human castles, and now has 4 different neighbourhood groups or winners of these themes. Every 2 years, the city is the host of the only biennial castle building contests, with competitors coming from all over Catalonia. UNESCO have now recognised this tradition as an example of intangible cultural heritage. Fountain of the now Santa Plaza was erected to commemorate the Rambla centenary. On the other side of the fountain, you can see the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Navigation, colloquially known as the Concha House. There is an heroes of the city, who in 1811 fought Napoleon during the War of the Rhine. The siege of the city was especially long, with the city finally falling and being looted. Very close to here is Tarragona's Central Market, and here in La Rambla, every Tuesday and Thursday, there's a street market which takes up residence on the esplanade from early morning until early afternoon. The Rambla was constructed over the old esplanade, which used to follow the line of the old city walls. As we follow it, you can see above you some wonderful examples of the modernist heritage in the city, such as Casa Rambla and the Casa de Bocca. This is also where the new tourist information office is, which you can now see in the central view. At number 46 in the tour, you can see the Metropole Theatre, an example of modern architecture designed by Josep Maria Pujol, a Gaudi collaborator and devotee. The theatre was initially a church hall and was used to entertain and instruct the working classes. It now belongs to the City Council. We are about to arrive at one of the most famous spots in the city, El Balcón del Mediterráneo, where the urban scenery melts into the sea. The monument of Concourse is in honour of Roger de Leon, an admiral from the Kingdom of Aragon, with the statue facing away from the river to salute the city. From here, you get one of the most spectacular views of the Mediterranean. King Charles IV called it the best maritime lookout point of all his times. El Balcón has become a symbol of the city, and the locals say they are coming to teach Milan to mean they're coming here to enjoy the view across the fields. If you'd like to visit the Balcón or take a stroll down the Rambla, you can get off at this stop. Don't forget to consult the timetable in the pamphlet to check for the next bus when you're ready to rejoin the club. shops giving way to bars and terraces, restaurants and ice cream parlours as we arrive at camp. It's like everything's inviting you to sit around and gaze out at the heavens. As we now leave Aramco, you can see another building on the corner called Casa Salas. This example of modern architecture was built at the beginning of the 20th century. After visiting the beach, through the San Antonio Gate, you enter the old quarter of the city. Inside the wall, the streets narrow, the houses shrink, and the city takes in the air of a smoking night. Everything seems to move slowly, but only residents are allowed to bring their vehicles in. The knot of medieval streets connecting the city used to look very different from how it looks today. It was originally designed in Roman times as a series of 3 great terraced squares connected in parallel lines. The highest point of the city was Temple Square, followed by the immense Roman Forum and then the Circus that conclude the tree. Earlier, we mentioned that the seafaring soul of Tarragona is in Serrallo, we can now say that the city is in the small network of high streets and quiet squares invite you to lose all sense of time as you wander through. Overshadowing the whole area is the cathedral, which stands over the site of a Roman temple dedicated to Emperor Augustus. Building began in the cathedral in 1174, after the city had been unfortunately, the building was never completed, because in 1348, the Black Death swept through the region, forcing the city to abandon the project. The Farina is a wonderful example of the transition from Roman to Gothic architecture, and the cathedral is dedicated to the the In front of them, the third building closes off the square. This is the convent